This aircraft was known as the king of aircraft, the An-124, the legendary An-225. These aircraft do not only transport cargo, some people believe that they even carry the stress and anxiety of many people on their shoulders. Instead of large cargo aircraft, other cargo aircraft were desired, and an aircraft with a different name, Antonov, was created. Not a monster, but a blade. What is its name? The An-178. This aircraft was intended to be created by the Russians, but fortune smiled on the Ukrainians. They built the aircraft, named it Antonov, and it has excellent twin engines. Other aircraft companies were talking about these engines. The An-178 is more than just a replacement for the old An-12. It is a symbol. You can think of it as a person created from scratch, a symbol of a nation striving to preserve its dignity in the face of destruction. It is the latest in fuel efficiency, faster, and meets standards for all countries. Wars between countries have increased, and Ukraine aims to be the top in both cargo and regular aircraft, as well as military aircraft. But then the war broke out. The Antonov factory in Hostomel, which produces the iconic An-225 and An-178, was hit by war 3 years ago when the Russians began their attack. Fires broke out, hangars were destroyed, many aircraft were burned, plunging the aircraft companies into crisis. Many people were overcome with sadness. Production came to a halt, and aircraft production plummeted from its peak to the bottom due to the war. But one aircraft was not completed. It did not remain on dusty shelves. Despite the Russian attack and the complete destruction of the country due to the war, it was suddenly announced that the An-178 aircraft had been completed. Everyone was astonished. Under international pressure, Antonov engineers returned to work with new suppliers and new locations. Once this project was undertaken, it had to be completed. This rule had been passed down from their ancestors. It had always been this way in the past. The An-178 was no longer just an aircraft. It was a statement. For Ukraine, nothing was over yet. This was the only lifeline left, and that is still the case today. Now imagine an aircraft that is no longer just a prototype, but a redesigned An-178, compatible with NATO standards, desired by the whole world, and capable of flying anywhere, even landing on unpaved surfaces. And the world was smiled upon when a cargo aircraft appeared. What sets it apart from its Soviet-era predecessors is not just that it was designed from scratch, but that it has completely broken free from its dependence on Russia. The interior materials, or all the materials used in the new An-178, were entirely Ukrainian. There was no connection to Russia at all. Over 30% of the original supply chain had to be completely redesigned, which is no small achievement. The result? This modern cargo aircraft, capable of carrying up to 18 tons of cargo at a cruising speed of over 825 kilometers per hour, was designed like a king, with Western avionics systems, glass cockpit systems, and engines that have been greatly improved. This makes it capable of competing with the C-27J Spartan and other rivals depending on the configuration. And in times of war, it is a true asset for its country. Everyone wants this aircraft, but the real advantage of the An-178 is its versatility. This aircraft is an ultra-luxurious cargo plane used for medical evacuation, logistics, in transporting soldiers to and from other locations. The entire world is purchasing this aircraft to assist Ukraine. It has the ability to land very easily in combat zones. How do I know this? Because it was developed by a country at war and can land on unpaved gravelly terrain without a runway. This aircraft appears to be from the future because it is equipped with very special technology and its cockpit is truly futuristic. It is ideal for special flights. The aircraft can now operate under NATO protocols and can be sold to many countries on other continents. Alternatively, it can be sold at a high price to countries outside NATO. These upgrades are not merely cosmetic. Everyone is discussing this technologically advanced aircraft with Ukraine. Peru was the first country to place an order for the An-178 and has purchased numerous aircraft from this country because it has a significant need for this aircraft. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense has distinguished the An-178 from other aircraft, stating that it is different from all other aircraft and has prioritized its use over domestic aircraft. This clearly demonstrates a departure from Soviet-era machinery and a commitment to supporting the domestic industry. However, beyond its technical specifications, range and capacity, we know that the An-178 carries cargo, but it also carries other things, for example, Ukraine's future and hope. The aircraft carries the future and hope on its back. This is a heavier load than the others. It is more than just transporting goods. It is a flying challenge. And this challenge has strategic importance in today's geopolitical arena, where logistics is of vital importance and supply chains are used as weapons. Does the An-178 have the capacity to become the top cargo aircraft? Or could it sink if the loads it carries become too heavy? The future will tell. While the An-178 represents a bold new era for Ukraine's aviation industry, success depends on factors beyond performance. Trust, timing, and technology are even more critical. Antonov has already established its dominance among new and old aircraft like Embraer's C-390 Millennium and C-130. Will this aircraft claim the title of king among other major companies? Or will others challenge its dominance? Even in the midst of conflict, Ukraine opened Antonov's production facility for this aircraft in Kiev and made it mandatory to use only materials available in the country. Engineers are working in a blackout environment. Logistics teams are constantly in danger. Nevertheless, the An-178 not only survived, but also managed to develop. This aircraft is a real blessing in difficult conditions. It is easy to maintain and can be serviced quickly because the materials are both high quality and inexpensive. In addition, because it is widely purchased, the materials are available in Ukraine. This is because they are proprietary materials. In compliance with ICAO and EASA regulations, the aircraft's design includes modern safety features such as dual FMS units, TCAS, collision avoidance, and terrain awareness and warning systems, TAWS. Other countries are always following, but even major powers are chasing this aircraft because it carries the title of the King of the Future. Private logistics companies, particularly in the Middle East and Central Asia, have shown great interest in the An-178 as a more cost-effective alternative to former Soviet fleets. Its compatibility with standard cargo containers and fuel efficiency for its class allow it to offer comfortable, non-stop flights over long distances while consuming minimal fuel. Antonov is also exploring civilian alternatives, such as emergency medical transport, firefighting, and even humanitarian air transport for the UN and non-governmental organizations. These have become very important roles for this aircraft. This aircraft is not a source of hope, but it is helping to save the country by being sold while it is at war. It is easy to sell because it is an engineering marvel. As with everything else, there are many obstacles and they want to overcome them. The West does not believe that Ukraine will be able to produce this aircraft for a long time and is delaying its release, but engineers and government officials say that this aircraft will last much longer than ours. Maintenance is very easy in their own country, and parts are readily available, but when they go abroad, this becomes a very difficult situation. Antonov must establish trust, as well as produce aircraft to compete on a global scale. However, once this aircraft is sold to other countries, everyone suddenly enters the race. The An-178 is no longer a paper plane. It is a flying representation of determination, engineering challenges, and recovery. It may not be able to overtake the Hercules tomorrow, but engineers have realized that the appearance of this aircraft, which is very important in terms of money and has a suit-like exterior, is not that important, and it has a real chance in areas where politics affect supplies. Will the new generation of medium-range air forces choose the An-178 as a military cargo aircraft? Or will it remain there, obeying the orders of its superiors like a slave on the battlefield? Or will it venture out? The practical applications of the Antonov An-178 are beginning to provide insights into its long-term viability, not only as a platform but also as a reliable workhorse in modern military and humanitarian aid operations. Peru's decision to replace its aging An-32 fleet with a series of An-178 aircraft is one of the most illustrative examples. Western aircraft are too delicate to land on unpaved runways, or their maintenance is expensive, or they struggle to operate in harsh conditions, even in extreme heat. However, This aircraft is accustomed to operating under such conditions and performs flawlessly, remaining highly agile even in such environments. This aircraft is chosen by those countries because it offers the ability to land on forest runways or in very mountainous areas, even for the most durable aircraft. However, Ukraine's use of the An-178 during the ongoing conflict is even more powerful symbolically. This aircraft has been used in very large operations, operating in places where even a human being would be unable to cope with the stress, and everyone is fighting for this aircraft. They say they will take it. When compared to aircraft from the Soviet era, it is very agile and fast in tight spaces, which is an advantage for pilots, while also highlighting how easy it is for ground crews to maintain. With each successful flight, the An-178 proves that it is not just a prototype, but a reliable vehicle. Antonov is entering the An-178 into other competitions, particularly in regions with inadequate service, to compete with the old Boeing 737-200C and in 26 cargo aircraft, thereby ending the competition there. As a result, this aircraft has now become the king of the cargo sector. I would love to have such an aircraft. Everyone does. Thanks to its automated systems, digital cockpit, and reduced crew requirements with 2 pilots, this aircraft is becoming the top choice for companies seeking to maximize profits while ensuring safe and efficient flights. In addition, there are calculated efforts to include Western-made engines and avionics systems in future versions. This will make it easier to obtain certification in additional jurisdictions and provide all NATO countries with an opportunity to purchase the aircraft at a low cost. Antonov is not just an aircraft, but also a bridge between East and West, and these countries are very pleased. And perhaps the An-178's greatest strength lies here. It does not act like a luxury item. It does not try to outshine the C-130 in politics or showmanship. However, in a world increasingly focused on value, self-confidence, and regional resilience, the An-178 has emerged not as an underdog, but as a revolutionary. What is its mission? To go where no one else dares to go, to open the wheels in difficult places, to deliver when others fail. Ukraine's new generation cargo aircraft is not alone. It is an inexpensive, high-quality aircraft that was born out of crisis and necessity and is appreciated by everyone. With one wheel still tied to the history of Soviet service aircraft and the other rapidly approaching the new era of modular, efficient, and durable air transport, the Antonov An-178 is at a turning point. It was not built for the things happening in this war, but for other purposes. This is a statement. We are still here, and we will be your competitors. We will also take to the skies. With increased production speed, growing export agreements, and proven reliability in combat, the An-178 is poised to make history. The Russians did this last time about 40 years ago, and it was a huge success. Can this country do it again and succeed? Time will tell. Perhaps not a revolution, but an evolution that is happening at the right time. Now we ask you this question. Will the An-178 truly change the nature of the global cargo market? Will smaller countries choose other competitors or make this aircraft their top choice? Is this aircraft creating a new competitive landscape in terms of affordability and versatility? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Would you accompany an Antonov cargo flight?